If you ever see a gas station that says, last stop for 70 miles, keep driving. I was about 4 hours into a 6 hour drive when I realized I needed to stop, not just for gas, but because I was falling asleep at the wheel. My eyes kept drifting shut for half a second at a time, that thing where you blink and suddenly you're 50 feet further down the road than you thought you were. I turned up the music and rolled down the window, but the cold air only helped for a few minutes. I needed caffeine. The highway was empty. I hadn't seen another car in at least 20 minutes. When I saw the glow of the gas station sign up ahead, I felt relieved. It was one of those independent places, not a chain, the kind that looked like it hasn't been updated since the 80s. A single building with two pumps out front and a hand painted sign that said, last stop for 70 miles. I pulled in and parked at the pump. The lot was empty except for a beat up truck parked around the side of the building. I figured it belonged to whoever was working the night shift. I got out, stretched my legs, and filled my tank. I paid at the pump and headed inside. I should have just gone back in my car and left, but I needed the coffee, and I needed to use the bathroom, so I walked inside. The store was small, a few aisles of snacks and car supplies, a coffee station in the back corner with those glass pots that had probably been sitting on the burner for hours, a cooler full of sodas and energy drinks along the back wall. The lights were that harsh fluorescent kind that made everything look slightly off. The attendant was behind the counter. He was maybe 50, with thinning gray hair and a face that looked like it hadn't slept in days. He had the TV on, some late night infomercial with the sound turned low. He looked up when I walked in. Something in his expression changed, just for a second, like he was surprised to see me, or worried. Evening, he said. Hey, just grabbing a coffee. I walked to the back and poured myself a cup. It was burnt and bitter, but I didn't care. I just needed the caffeine to get me through the next 2 hours. I grabbed a candy bar too and brought everything to the counter. The attendant rang me up slowly. He kept glancing past me towards the window, towards my car. Driving alone? He asked. Yeah. A long trip? A few more hours. He nodded but didn't say anything else. He was staring at the window again. I turned to look, but there was nothing out there. Just my car at the pump. The empty highway beyond. Something wrong? I asked. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he slid a piece of paper across the counter. A napkin. He had written on it in pen. You're being followed. Don't go back to your car. I stared at the napkin. Then I looked back at him. His face was completely serious. What are you talking about? He held up a hand. Keep your voice down. Look into the monitor. He pointed to a small security screen mounted on the wall behind the counter. It showed a black and white feed of the parking lot. My car was there, and someone was standing next to it. My stomach dropped. The figure was on the passenger side, just standing there facing the store. I couldn't make out any features. They were wearing dark clothes, and their face was in shadow. I spun around and looked out the window. There was no one there. Just my car. Empty lot. Nothing. I looked back at the monitor. The figure was still there, standing in the same spot. What the hell? I whispered. It doesn't show up when you look directly, the attendant said. Only on the cameras. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I know what happens to people who go out there when it's waiting for them. My heart was pounding. I looked out the window again. Nothing. Back at the monitor, the figure had moved. It was closer to the front of my car now, still facing the store. This is insane, I said. This has to be some kind of trick. I wish it was. He reached under the counter and pulled out a folder. Inside were painted news articles, missing persons reports, headlines about bodies found on the highway. 4 people in the last 8 months, he said. All of them stopped here late at night. All of them went back to their cars even after I warned them. They found them a few miles down the road. Cars stopped in the middle of the highway, engines still running, drivers still in their seats, eyes open, no marks on them. Coroner said their hearts just stopped. I felt dizzy. This couldn't be real. I looked at the articles, the photos of the victims, a young woman, a middle-aged man, a couple in their 30s. Real people, real deaths. Why haven't the police done anything? I asked. Done what? There's nothing to investigate. No signs, no foul play, no witnesses, just people dying on a lonely stretch of highway. Happens all the time. They chalk it up to fatigue or medical emergencies. I looked at the monitor again. The figure was even closer now, standing right in front of my car. How long does it stay? I asked. Until sunrise? Sometimes longer, but if you stay inside, you're safe. It can't come in here. Why not? He shrugged. I don't know. I stopped asking questions like that months ago. I just know the rules. Stay inside when it's dark. Don't go out to the lot. Wait for daylight. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him he was crazy. But I couldn't explain the figure on the monitor. I couldn't explain why it wasn't there when I looked with my own eyes. Okay, I said. I'll wait. He looked relieved. Good. Smart. You can sit in the back if you want. There's a couch, I got some magazines. It's only about 4 hours until sunrise. He walked to the front door and locked it. The click of the deadbolt was loud in the quiet store. Just in case, he said. Sometimes people panic and try to run. This way you won't do anything stupid. Something about the way he said it made me uncomfortable. But I told myself he was just being cautious. He was trying to help me. I sat down on a stool near the counter. The attendant went to the back watching an infomercial. Every few minutes, I'd look at the monitor. The figure was always there, sometimes in a different position, sometimes close to the building, but always there. After about an hour, I asked if I could use the bathroom. He pointed to the door near the back of the store. Right through there. I got up and walked toward it. As I passed the counter, I glanced at the security monitor again. Something was different. It took me a second to realize what it was. The timestamp. The footage showed 11:47 p.m., but it was after 3 a.m. now. I had checked my phone when I first came inside. It was definitely past 2. I stopped walking. I looked at the monitor more carefully. The footage wasn't live, it was a loop. The same few minutes playing over and over again. My blood went cold. I looked out the window at my car, really looked this time. There was no one out there. There had never been anyone out there. I kept my voice calm. Hey, what time does the camera say? He didn't answer for a second. When I turned around, he was standing right behind me. You should use the bathroom, he said. His voice was different now, flatter. You've been holding it for a while. The timestamp is wrong, I said. The footage is old. His expression didn't change. He just stared at me with those tired eyes. You saw the articles, he said. You saw what happens to people on this highway. Those could be from anywhere. Anyone could print those out. He took a step toward me. I took a step back. You should stay, he said. It's not safe out there. I looked at the door. Locked. The deadbolt needed a key from this side. Where's the key? I asked. I can't let you leave. Not until morning, for your own safety. I backed up further. My hand found the door handle to the back room. I pushed it open and stepped through. It wasn't a break room. It was a storage space. Dim light from a single bulb, shelves lined up the walls. And on the shelves were boxes, dozens of them, each one labeled with a date. I opened the nearest one. Inside was a wallet, a phone with a cracked screen, a set of car keys, a driver's license. The photo showed a young woman, blonde hair, smiling. I recognized her face from the articles. I opened another box. Different items, different license. The middle-aged man. He hadn't been warning those people, he had been taking them. I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around. He was standing in the doorway, blocking the exit. They always figure it out, he said. But by then, it's too late. No cell signal out here. Nearest town is 40 miles. No one to hear you scream. He was holding something, a length of cord. I backed into the shelves. My hands closed around something heavy, a wrench, old and rusted but solid. You don't want this, he said. It'll be easier if you just cooperate. He stepped forward. I swung. The wrench connected with the right side of his head. He staggered sideways and hit the wall. I didn't wait to see if he went down. I ran past him through the doorway into the main store. The front door was still locked. I grabbed a stool from the counter and swung it into the glass window. It cracked but didn't break. I swung again. Again. I could hear him behind me. getting up, cursing. The third swing went through. I knocked out the remaining glass with the stool and climbed through the window frame. Shards cut my arm and legs, but I didn't care. I dropped into the pavement outside and ran for my car. My keys were still in my pocket. My phone was still in the cup holder where I left it. I got in and started the engine. In the rear view mirror, I saw him stumbling out through the broken window. I floored it. I drove for an hour without stopping. When I finally pulled over at the rest stop, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I'm sitting in my car now, doors locked, engine running. I called 911. They're sending someone to the gas station. They told me that they told me to stay where I am and wait for an officer to come and take my statement. I keep checking my mirrors. I keep expecting to see headlights behind me. The sun is coming up now. I can see the sky turning gray on the horizon. I should feel relieved, but I don't. Because when I climbed through that window, when I ran to my car and looked back at the store, I saw the security monitor through the broken glass. The figure was still on the screen, standing in the lot, but it wasn't by my car anymore. It was standing exactly where I had been standing when I broke the window. I don't know what he had been playing on that monitor. I don't know if it was really a loop or something else entirely. I don't know if he made it all up to scare people into staying the night or if there was some truth buried under the lies. All I know is that I'm never driving this highway again. And if you see a gas station that says, last stop for 70 miles, keep driving. Whatever's waiting there, you don't want to find out. That ending was expected and somewhat unexpected at the same time. I mean, I'm a little confused here. We have some very big questions I want to ask here. My first question is, how did the attendant have a loop of OP's car with the shadowy figure in there? And that's also leading into my next question, question number two. How did the shadowy figure who was on loop the entire time all of a sudden change locations from around the car to in front of the gas station? Unless if there is some kind of entity in this story, maybe controlling the attendant, there weren't really any replies from the OP in the story. If you have any theories, drop them in the comments. Let's move on to the next story. I heard noises in the attic. Did you hear that? My wife asked, poking her head into the office. Hear what? I glanced up from my computer. That. It sounded like a bird trapped in our attic. I got up and went to the living room. All I could hear were distant cars and dogs barking outside. I don't hear anything. I swear, it's a bird. It was whistling. I moved to the kitchen, trying to discern the noise. If it makes you feel any better, I'll go up there and shoot whatever is bothering you. No, don't kill it, just go up there and see what it is. Fine. I made my way towards the garage, ruffled my toddler's hair as I passed by in the dining room. Doing good, buddy? Yes, Daddy. I wrenched the door open, finding myself in our garage. Right above my head was the attic door. I shuddered. I hated going up there. Ever since we moved, the space felt spooky, like another world was living above our heads. I spun to the kitchen doorway. My toddler was watching me with a fearful expression. Hey, sweetie, I didn't see you there. It's not safe. Why not? That's where the kitty lives. The kitty? What kitty? The kitty that speaks to me. Sometimes it whispers in my ears while I sleep. It's not nice. I locked eyes with him for a moment. Remember, those are just dreams, and dreams aren't real. Okay, Daddy. I sighed wearily as I ascended the ladder. The thing was narrow. I could barely haul myself up without falling off. Next house we buy, I'm installing a bigger one. I reached the empty space and shined my phone's flashlight into the darkness. The area felt cold for the middle of summer, like it was harboring a wintry climate. Any birds up here? I shouted. If you are, it's time to leave. I pumped my fist against the slanted beam, half expecting a robin or a titmouse to come fluttering out, but there were no signs of anything. I started back down, and as soon as my left foot hit the lowest rung, a sharp whistle crashed into my ears. "Did you hear that?" My wife shouted from the kitchen. The whistle grew in volume, mixed with a twang of insanity. "It's the kitty." My son's voice drifted in from the house. I climbed back and hoisted myself into the attic's floor. I searched the rafters, hoping to catch sight of some deranged bird. The volume increased and I doubled over. A burning sensation hitting my ears. Oh God, it hurts. Finally, the noise stopped. I glanced up into the rafters, noticing something was watching me. Whatever it was slinked down and landed next to me. It slipped past, soundless, like a predatory cat, and headed for the ladder, moving its dark form with effortless grace. "Honey, what's going on?" "Catherine." I wanted to scream. My voice refused. "Get out, take Joey and run." I tried to move, but my muscles disobeyed. I was paralyzed and mute, watching this panther like entity creep toward the exit. "Honey, I'm getting concerned. Should I call your uncle?" "Jesus, Catherine. Just go. Someone, please help." I managed to reach out, pull myself up by a beam, and swing out toward the creature. The thing turned and focused its yellow eyes on me. Its slimy lips pursed and emitted the most unholy sound. And then I passed out. An hour later, the EMTs found me sprawled on the garage floor. My nose and two ribs were broken, my ears were bleeding, and I had two gashes on my chest. The paramedics lifted me up carefully and carried me out to the stretcher. I'm not fully sure when I arrived at the hospital, but it's been maybe 2 days. I still can't speak. Every time I open my mouth, a painful wheeze comes out, and my ears, they work on and off, so I miss half of everything that's said. At least I have control over my arms and legs again, and thankfully Catherine and Joey are safe. They're at my dad's, trying to wrap their brains around what happened. My uncle checked the attic. He said there's nothing up there but a few scratch marks in the wood. All I can do is rest in the hospital room and type this experience on my phone. I can't sleep. All I can think about is, what was that thing? How did it get up there? And will it ever come back? I mean, wow, that was pretty spooky. Was not expecting it to take a turn like that. I mean, if anything, I was assuming like a giant bird, but no, instead we got a big, wet-lipped jaguar. I don't know. But let's go over the more popular comments on this story. Commenter says, "Do the doctors know how you became mute? Or how you suddenly lost all control of basically everything, including your hearing? I mean, the thing didn't even touch you." And then OP replied, "The doctors haven't given me a clear answer yet. The best I can theorize is that the creature's pitch was so high that it somehow shut down my nervous system. Thankfully, everything is coming back. I should be going home in a few days." It's pretty interesting how this creature is able to fully shut down your nervous system, causing you to not be able to move your limbs or lose your hearing, nosebleeds, and it's doing all of this without even touching the OP. Let's move on to the next interesting comment thread. This comment thread's a little spookier than the last one, but it also does have a few spelling mistakes and grammatical errors, so I'm gonna try to read it the best that I can. "Spooky. I wonder why it took an hour for the paramedics to get to his, since his wife was there with him." OP responded, "But my wife said she called my name multiple times and heard me respond, 'I'm alright, be right there.' But it couldn't have been me speaking. I don't even remember coming to until after the paramedics found me, which means that thing must have mimicked my voice and kept me up there. Whether I felt the attic or was tossed, I'll never know. I'm just grateful the nightmare is over." Another commenter replied to OP's comment saying, "What do you mean the big hamster is over?" I mean, the nightmare. For some reason, the autocorrect put down big hamster, so I'll leave it because I'm sick of correcting the damn thing. Anyway, tell me you and your family are staying at an Airbnb until you get the new place, or an exterminator, or an exorcist. OP responds, "An exorcist might be a good idea." And that is the end of that. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe. It would mean a lot to me if you do. That's everything. See you guys in the next one.